Family, we have giants in our midst, and in this moment, not only do we get to meet them, but we get to give them the credit and the praise they deserve. They are educating, creating, providing resources, doing what they can to make the world better, our world better. This is For the Culture. Okay, we've made it. We've made it. Hi, gorgeous.
Hello, beautiful.
I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. I'm honored that I
I'm
got to steal
honored.
some of your time.
Absolutely. I'm like, me, little me. No, this is dope. I'm like so proud of you and so happy to be here and be a part of this.
You're the bomb.com. We're going to jump right into the nitty gritty. Beautiful, gorgeous queen. Please let the people know who you are.
Okay, well, good afternoon, people. My name is Rachel, and I am Katya's cousin, but I am also a mother, a wife, a child of God, a truth seeker, a fact checker, a small business owner. I am a freelance makeup artist, and I also hold a master's degree in healthcare administration.
Woo! Come on, y'all.
Yes.
Let's take this moment and hit one of these right quick. Let me just hit one of those. I love it, and clearly I've known you my whole life. Um, but you truly have blossomed, and that was a mouthful. And you handle all of these titles and spaces that you hold so beautifully, and
So,
with so much grace. And so I'm excited again to be able to have you on and to steal some of your time and get to know you a little bit better. So let's go background. Let the
mhm.
folks know where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in good old New York. I was born in Brooklyn at Interfaith Medical Center. And I was raised for the most part, half of my life, well, half of my adolescent life, because I'm grown, was in Far Rock, Queens. And then my parents relocated to Long Island. So from fifth grade up until my undergrad years, I lived on Long Island. And then I relocated back to Brooklyn for a little bit and then purchased a home on the South Shore of Long Island. So back and forth between the city and the suburbs, but I am here on Long Island currently. So New York is, yeah, everything. I've never left out of the state.
Gang gang, New York all day. And what about your family? Let the people know where's your family from?
I am Haitian, first generation. My parents were born and raised in Haiti. I am the first grandchild on both sides of my family. So I'm number one grandchild born in the States. And that has a major impact on everything that I am. Like, I am so proud of my culture. I mean, growing up, like, people would be like, "You're not Haitian, you're American." And I'm like, "No, I'm Haitian. I mean, I eat Haitian food in the house, they're speaking Creole, like
Right.
for us, it was so strong. Like, I didn't identify as anything else. That was what I lived, I saw, I breathed. So um it impacts me in every way. And as an adult with my own family now, I see so many of those traditions and so much of my culture and how I raise my kids and, how I move in different spaces. So, yeah, I'm Haitian
Honey, all day, every day.
all day, every day.
And and let's talk a little bit more about what it is that you do, because again, you wear many hats, but they're molded together so beautifully and so well. Let's talk about this master's degree, boss,
Yes.
and your love for health and equality in the health system. And so tell the people, what do you do? What occupies your time?
So, in addition, I did mention that I have my makeup business, which takes up a good portion of my time. But I went to school to get my master's in healthcare administration because I worked in the healthcare sector for almost 8 years.
Mhm.
And something that I became very passionate about throughout working in healthcare and during my master's program was Black maternal health specifically. So that is like something that I advocate very, very hard for, because it is not something that I think a lot of people realize is a big issue. But there are a lot of health disparities that exist for Black women when it comes to maternal health. We are 3 to 4 times more likely to die than our white counterparts when it comes to maternal health outcomes. The disparity in quality of care is vast. Um, Black women are often cited as saying that they feel unheard. They feel like their concerns go not addressed or poorly addressed, I should say. And me having children myself, I can see some of me in the stories that I've read and some of the women that
Mm,
I've spoken to when it comes to the quality of healthcare. So, just like everything else, especially in this climate that we're dealing with that's so racially charged and everything that we're
yep.
going through, we have to understand that there are conscious and unconscious biases that exist in healthcare. You would like to think that, okay, doctors are supposed to, they took an oath, they're supposed to take care of patients regardless of backgrounds, but that is not often the case.
Yeah.
They tell you statistically, if you go to a healthcare facility that's in a predominantly Black community, the outcomes are worse, the quality of care is worse. And it's like,
Yep.
why is that? We're in a first world country, we're in America. Why is there such a
Right.
great difference? You know, um, there's a term called weathering that was created or termed
Mm,
by a woman in 1992. Her name is Arlene Geronimus. And the concept of weathering basically states that Black people in general, because of the constant stress of racism, we are more likely to age quicker at an
mm,
earlier age, and we have poorer health outcomes. So now when you
right.
translate that to healthcare, you think about the stresses that as a Black woman you have to deal with that
Yeah.
your counterpart is not even thinking about. You go in
Right.
and your doctor is a white woman or a white man, and you're explaining certain things and you're wondering,
Mm,
well, you have anxiety, like, are they going to understand me? Do they even care? Are there biases? If I tell them I'm in pain, are they going to recognize that? Because providers have been quoted to say that they don't often feel that the pain levels are the same for Black women as they are for white women. So when you read all of this and you're seeing this, you're just like, how is this the case,
yeah.
then you think about food deserts and access to quality foods.
Come
This
on,
is not just
preacher. Come on, preacher.
girl, this is not just things that you're seeing on TV in third world countries. Like, there are places in America, in New York, where you will literally drive miles and not come across a quality supermarket. It's the bodega, it's the deli, it's fast food chains, it's alcohol, liquor stores, and so you factor in all these different things and the socioeconomic conditions that a
Yeah.
lot of people have, and it's just really frightening that this kind of trickles over into the type of healthcare that we get. So that's just something that I've been advocating for, and I try to participate in different forums. I try to educate as many people as I can. I try to stay educated myself because you gotta be woke out here. So
Talk
that's
about it.
primarily something that I'm just like really hands on about. Like, it's a big passion of mine.
Everything that you said holds so true. And, definitely there's so many spaces I'm still learning. But I do know Black maternal health is a conversation that I pray, will bring up more normally in different
Yeah.
spaces. And us having a family full, of doctors and nurses, still it wasn't as if, at least I can say for me, it wasn't as if I grew up and had somebody in my ear saying, hey, be mindful of the differences in the healthcare system. And so I appreciate you shedding light on a really important topic, and the fact that you're a mom.
Hmm.
You are a Black woman in America. You have beautiful, beautiful boys.
Thank you. In Jesus'
And
name.
yes, right. And healthy, right? Healthy boys. And so can you speak a little bit more about your experience? Because you said, you can see and read different women's stories and you can see yourself sometimes. What was your experience like? And what are some of the parallels that you've noticed even for your own, when you gave birth and things like that?
Okay, so primarily I think like especially with my first son, I was so naive, I didn't question anything. And I
Mm,
want to just say there is nothing wrong with asking questions. I don't know if it's cultural. I think there's often this fear that, your provider is godlike and you can't
right.
go against the grain. You can't have concerns. And so that kind of leaves you in this space where even if there's this gut feeling, you're just kind of like, well, no,
Mm,
they know what they're talking about. So whatever they say is law. And that is not
wow.
always the case. So, with my first son, I went through the motions. I had a great pregnancy. I really didn't have anything to complain about. And I remember telling my provider, the one thing I did not want was a C-section. And this was, I literally did no research. I didn't know much. And I was like, I don't want to have a C-section. I had never had any medical intervention before, any major surgeries. And he's like, oh, you're young, you're fine. There's no need for that. And I went into labor and knowing what I know now, I did everything wrong, ignorance.
Wow.
My water broke. I was like, oh my gosh, my water broke. Ran to the hospital. I had no practice or knowledge of pain management. So as soon as they
Mm,
offered the epidural, I ran to take it. And there's nothing wrong with getting pain management.
right.
I just didn't allow my body to do what it was designed to do. And so by me getting all these different drugs,
Mm,
my body started to stall. And so I was in labor for 13 hours and I was literally only 3 centimeters dilated. I hadn't progressed much. And I
wow.
felt so drugged. And I remember the doctor coming, and it was like a movie. Like my vision was blurry at that point, and he was saying to me, "You have a high fever." I had developed a fever at some point. It was at its peak 105. And he
Wow.
said, we're giving you things to bring the fever down, but if it doesn't go down in a half hour, we're going to have to take the baby. We're going to have to go into the OR. And I remember hearing my mother in the background saying, she's going to be okay. She's going to be fine. And he said, Mrs. Julian, if we don't go into the OR, your daughter and the baby are going to die. And at that point, I
Wow.
just had tears streaming, like I was just like, whatever it takes, just make sure my baby's okay. Thankfully, everything from that point was okay. And then they found out that I had, there was like an infection brewing in my placenta that was causing the fever. But the point is that, you know,
Wow.
there were so many things I could have done differently. And who knows? I mean, maybe I could have still ended up with a C-section. But the point is, I wasn't afforded a chance to educate myself appropriately. And there was no conversation with my provider or anyone else really prior to me having my son saying,
Wow.
participate in this workshop, do this. And then with my second son, forget about it. It was, you had a C-section, you have to have another one. And I
Mm,
don't know if most people realize, like, there are a lot of C-sections in this country that are not medically necessary. And,
wow.
most providers, once you have one, they lean on the side of encouraging you to have another one because of liability. And they try to scare you with different things like uterine rupture and all that stuff. And really, our average, the benchmark is supposed to be somewhere around 23%. Black women in New York City, as of 2018, I believe, our C-section rates are at like 30, somewhere between 36 and 38%. So
Wow.
we're way above what even the World Health Organization recommends. And again, this is because of lack of communication between provider and patient. This is lack of education. And then coming into it, because of weathering, Black women
Mm,
have certain health conditions that they go into their pregnancies with, diabetes, high blood
right.
pressure, and all
Right.
these things complicate your pregnancy, which could possibly increase your chances of having a C-section. So everything is related. People don't realize it, but they're all connected. And for me as a mom, when I read some of these stories, I get chills because I can see some of myself in some of these women. And for me, if I were to have another child, I would be so vocal about what
Mm,
I want and what I don't want. And I would push for a doula. People don't realize, I think they think it's just like a luxury to have a midwife or a doula, but
wow.
research shows if you have a doula, it decreases your chances of having a C-section by about 39%. Plus, it's
Wow.
great to have someone to advocate for you, right? Like sometimes you know the things, but you're just, especially during labor, like you just don't feel like fighting or you're tired. But to have someone that knows your birth plan, that understands what you're looking for, and regardless of the outcome, has your best interest and your baby's best interest at heart, first and foremost, is major. And I
Wow.
think, when we talk about providers and people that look like you, even if your provider is not of the same culture as you are, if you have a doula that is still is power in numbers, and that
Yeah.
definitely helps the health outcomes. So, these are all things that we need to talk about. And it's not just with maternal health, it transcends into other aspects of healthcare too. But like everything else, like we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to have those conversations. We have to amplify Black voices. In this case, amplify Black mothers' voices. A lot of providers, they go through the clinical training, but they don't have cultural sensitivity, and they don't understand how to deal with patients of different ethnicities. So what works for this woman may not work for this woman, or may
Right.
go against this woman. So these things are really, really important, and the conversations need to be had.
I'm so grateful and so excited, and there are a million ways I want to go um, with this conversation. So, you spoke about a lot of different things, but I want to focus on advocacy because you mentioned cultural differences. You mentioned pretty much giving a voice to the voiceless, and that's the work that you're doing right now. Can you just this is thought that just came to me, but can you explain, I guess, the difference or the power, go a little bit deeper into like the doulas and the midwives, because sometimes, and even honestly, even in healthcare and in administration, we don't realize the power that we have, the power that you have, for example, in speaking up and speaking out about these issues, because we assume that maybe a friend or even a spouse would be able to have to hold that space, and it's not the same. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
same. So can you just shed some light on what's the difference? Why does it matter that someone like you is functioning in the space of of healthcare and administration versus me just having my spouse, tell the doctor what I want, or me saying that, my mom will speak for me, or actually hiring a doula. Like, what's the difference?
So the difference between the midwife and the doula primarily is a midwife can deliver your child. They are certified, they have certain privileges, they can actually go into a hospital or work underneath an OBGYN and help deliver your baby. They can provide you prenatal care throughout your pregnancy. A doula is more of an emotional support. They cannot
Mm.
technically deliver your child, they don't have any medical like training.
Mhm.
Their main role is just to provide emotional and physical support for you throughout your pregnancy, during your labor. So, at the very least, not to take away any, not about ranking, but
Mhm.
at the very least, I think just to have that support system in a doula is important. Now, not to say that your spouse or your mother is not equipped to be that for you, but sometimes, it's great to have someone that's outside of it. And this is for me personally. I can't speak for everyone else. I think we also tend to lean into the biases and the wants and needs of our family at times. And so our voices can kind of get a little muffled. You might have your mother that's saying, you need to do it this way. This is how I did it. I had 10 kids. I had six. I never needed this. And that may not align with what you want, but she's your mom and you don't know how to go against her. But when you have
Yeah,
someone that's outside of your family, that is there to support you, they could kind of like give you that confidence to have a voice and to say, well, no, it's okay if you actually want an epidural, and just because your mom had it natural doesn't mean you're any less of a mom. Like, that's
that's
fine. It's okay.
good.
You know what I mean? So it's just inviting a third party that is there for you and you primarily, and to basically remind everybody in the room, doctors, mom, a spouse, listen, hey, this is not what she wanted. Hey, she said she didn't want nobody talking in her ear. Like that
Right.
kind of thing. So that's really it. And one thing I noticed, I feel like the funding is another thing, because A
Mm,
lot of these things are not covered by insurance. And if they are, they're not covered to where they should be. I mean, you're pregnant for almost 10 months.
yeah,
So, you do the numbers. So to have more funding that allows for these support services that you're not feeling like, I really want a midwife or I really want to do it, but I just can't afford it. And so to create initiatives and workshops and just to have opportunities to raise funding for these type of things, I think is key. And again, forums for Black women to speak and to be able to share some of their experiences, because a lot of people don't realize just how much trauma exists in that space for Black women, and how scared Black women are. I just had a conversation with a client that I did makeup for. She had 3 C-sections, and she was going through her experience with each one, and she literally was like, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. No one really explained anything to me. It was kind of like the fear factor. Oh, your baby is, not low enough, and we could induce you, but the chances of this happening are high, so you should get a C-section. That's not really informing a
wow,
patient. Yeah. So, obviously she's not having any more kids and she's older now, but she looks back and she has a lot of regret during her birth experiences. And that sucks, because bringing life into this world is probably one of the most amazing things you experience as a human being. Like, God gave us this gift as women to bear children,
right,
to create life, and to look back and say you have regret is just, it's hard.
yeah,
So it may not seem like a big deal to many people, but I think for women, especially Black women, when you see the numbers, when you hear the stories, when you see how depressing it could be, and just with our morbidity and our mortality rates, it's like, no, this cannot be the case. Like, we live in a very advanced country. There's no reason why this should be going on.
right. I want to say thank you for taking the route that you have, and for anyone watching, I'm sure it doesn't matter where you are, but you shed so much light on this topic, and so thank you sincerely for even speaking on the things that you did. Are there current projects or anything that you're working on that you'd like to share?
Not right now in this space. There are some things that I'm looking to do in the near future. So fingers crossed, keep me in prayer, stay tuned. Right now, I'm just focusing on my kids. We are in a whole
God
pandemic,
bless y'all.
learning, and that's taken up a whole lot of my mental space. So I'm just focusing on being the best mother that I can be, the best nurturer that I can be. And again, I do have a makeup business, so that is always going on. People still want to feel beautiful during a pandemic. I have an IG handle, Makeup by Lady Rach, for anyone that would want to go on and see my portfolio or
Copy.
book. But yeah, I'm just trying to be present and in the moment. It's just, life is real right now. There's a lot of
Yes, it
things
is.
happening, externally, environmentally, racially. So, in addition to the creative space, just
Yeah,
being grounded,
that's
like
good.
trying to remain grounded. So,
And that's important. I think sometimes we get so caught up, and I hope that anyone watching really does find value in what you just said, because you still have the titles that you do, right? Like, the pandemic didn't stop that, but to be able to pay attention and know, let me make sure that my feet are planted, and to be strong for your family. Again, like, you are a wife, you are a mother, you are a sister, like, you are a daughter, you are a cousin, you are a business owner, you are an advocate, you are, like, you have all these different places. So I think it's important for anyone to be able to pause for a moment and just assess and say, okay, wait a minute, but am I here? Am I present? So thank you even for that. Please let us know what drives you.
that is such a loaded question. My family, I want to make them proud. I think when I go out there, any and everything that I pursue, they're always at the forefront of my mind. I want to make them proud. I do it for them first and foremost. So they're my reason. They're why, my sons, like my older son, he'll say to me, Mommy, I'm so proud of you. Mommy, you're cool, and it's like, oh, Oh, my heart swells. So they're definitely my reason why, my husband is my number one fan. He's always pushing me. He puts the battery in my back. He thinks I could do it all. So, they're definitely my inspiration and they keep me motivated and keep me going.
I love y'all. I really do. You guys, I just feel like you guys are so much light all the time. So I just, y'all just become a stalker like me and follow her on Instagram. So this is the moment I call for the humble brag. Um,
Okay. Ooh,
and I'm gonna ask for you to share what what value do you feel like you bring to the Black community?
what value? These are some good questions. Gee, my energy.
Mm,
My energy. I mean, I shine in every space that I enter. And I mean, if this is my moment to brag, I just feel
come
like
on.
God has gifted me with a personality that is just so encouraging of others. Like, I will be your cheerleader. I will be, your megaphone. I will hype you up as much as I can. That's just something that makes me feel good to see other people soar in their creative spaces in any way. And that you always hear they're saying like check on your strong friends. Like everyone is going through so much. And I
Yeah,
think more now than ever, it is so important to compliment, to love on, to check on someone, to say, hey, how you doing? How's your spirit today? To like a post, to shout somebody out, to repost something in your IG stories. You don't know the effort and the energy that people put forth in doing what they're doing, especially in a climate like this. And to see people still moving forward when they're burdened, when they might have had a late night and they were crying and they're just so unsure and so doubtful of their future. And then for you to go in there and just kind of just clap for them, that
yeah.
is priceless. So I feel like that is something that I absolutely bring to the community. I just feel like I don't know to be any other way. Like, I'm not a hater. I love seeing people win in every way. I love love. Like, literally, you like it, I love it. Like, whatever works for you, I'm here, I'm here for it. So
That's so
that,
real, and you are that.
thank
You are such an
you.
encourager. You are such an encourager, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. First of all, that question, how's your spirit today? Yes, yes. How's your spirit
It's
today?
it's deeper than, you could say how are you, but when you say to someone, how's your spirit today? Even if they wanted to give you a knee-jerk response, it makes them stop, right? You're like,
Yeah,
dang, asking about my whole, it's like my soul. Like, let me
right.
think about that for a second, like I can't just be like, fine, like I gotta think. So, it's the intentionality and how we word things, right? Because there's power in words. And sometimes it's okay to go through the motions, but sometimes you gotta take a little bit more time and be a little bit more deliberate, even with language. And that's
Yeah.
something that I've been learning a lot in the past year as well. It's important. We got to pour into each other. We do. We really like, we have to pour into each other. We're all we got. So
Something else that you said, and I hope that folks catch it. You like it, I love it. You are the epitome of, like, you bring your light with you everywhere it is that you go, and you embody the fact that I don't need to dim my light for yours to shine. Like, you embody that. You bring who you are into a space, and again, you encourage everybody else to continue to shine brightly, and that's powerful too. um that's so divine of you. That is so godly of you.
thank you. That took me years to learn because I used to want to dim my light. I used to feel like, I can't share or I can't say or I can't celebrate
Mhm.
me because, that might be a trigger for someone. Or maybe
Mhm.
someone is going to think that I'm being vain. And it took me years to realize that no, I can cheer for you, which I always do, and still celebrate me too. I can be happy for something that's happening in my life and be happy for you. Like one there's no sacrificing here. And as women, not only do we not know how to be still because we just have this feeling of always feeling like we have to be on the go, but we just don't know how to always celebrate us. We always feel like we got to be the sacrificial lamb for some reason. And
Right.
so it's really important to celebrate yourselves, women. Like, it's so important, self-care, and to love on yourself and to say, no, I am worthy, I'm beautiful, I am royalty, I'm a child of God, I am made in his image. There is nothing wrong with being proud of who you are and bringing that light into a space. And sometimes you encourage others by the way you hold your head up and the way you move and the way you talk. That someone might look at you and be like, wow, there's a light in her. I aspire to be that. And that gets them going. So, I
Good.
learned that and I'm still learning that. And that is so important to me. I'll walk down the street, I'll see a gorgeous woman, I'll be like, girl, you are killing it today. Like, that's the energy I bring every time. They might be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So here you go. Have a great day. You look amazing. It's important.
That's so good. That's so good. I'm grateful for you and for your energy. I have another loaded one for you.
Okay.
What do you feel like the Black community needs?
Mm, healing.
Hmm.
We need healing. We need education, um, support, financial literacy, resources, health and wellness. Health and
Yeah.
wellness are key. You have to be well. You have to be healthy to fight the good fight in every way, and not just physically healthy, mentally and emotionally healthy. I also am a big advocate for mental health. I myself am in therapy. I think it's so important that we take care of our minds, that we take care of our souls. We carry so much, and we don't often think it's important enough to discuss. And we don't have many safe spaces to feel vulnerable. And that affects who we are. So, healing and,
That's
and health. Yeah.
that's really good. And if someone says that they want to be like you, what would you
Jeez.
say?
You are killing me with these questions. Oh my gosh. If someone said they wanted to be like me, what would I say? Uh, take your time. Take your time, because the complexity of Rachel, I wear so many faces and I feel like my mind is just like an algorithm that's so busy. But honestly, all jokes aside, be patient with yourself. I feel like it's me speaking to a younger version of me,
Yeah.
just to be patient and take your time and just go through the process. Don't rush anything, don't rush life, and stay prayed up.
Come on now. Prayer works, y'all.
Prayer
Uh,
works. Prayer
that's so
works.
good. That's so, so good. Do you have any shout outs, any at all across the board? Anything, anyone?
Let me get my long laundry list. First and foremost, of course, I have to shout out my Lord and Savior, because, whoo, child, the things, the way He intercedes on my behalf. I mean, the way He's moving mountains. I get chills. Like, I am so thankful for my Creator, first and foremost. I want to shout out my sister, who is also a dope human being with many faces, wearing many hats. My parents, my husband, my village, my girl squad. Like, I have some really dope girlfriends, and they inspire me and they push me, and I'm so thankful. It's not often that you can say you have a core group of friends that you've
Yeah.
had for years and years, and I've been friends with these women for sheesh almost 20 years. So that to me is just
Wow.
like phenomenal. And I want to shout you out, because, sis, when we talk about creating tables, making room at tables, like, that's you. And you have been doing some amazing things. And I'm just like in awe of you and your creativity and your heart and just the way God is using you and just the vessel that you are. Like, you're so dope. So, shouting you out.
Thanks. Thanks, and family, tribe, community, some of the things that you just said and shared, beautiful spaces to have and to be able to operate in. I want to salute your tribe, um, and being able to wrap their arms around you in a way that you
Yeah.
deserve.
Yeah.
Because again, you're amazing. So I'm going to read you a quote. Okay, I'm going to read you a quote. And nope, I'm lying. I'm not going to read your quote. I have another question for you.
Okay.
That was a lie. So before the quote, what would you like to be remembered by, or how would you like to be remembered?
My heart. I want my heart to be impactful to anyone that comes across me. If, I were to die tomorrow, I want people to brag on my heart.
Mm,
That is something that I pride myself on, being just genuine and sincere always. Um, I would love, like, if I could be a ghost just floating around and listen. That is something that means so much to me. Just people knowing how genuine I am in everything that I do.
yeah,
So, yeah.
I love that. And you do have a beautiful heart.
Thank you.
So now I got a quote for you, and just share if it resonates with you at all, if it means anything to you. The quote is: "Great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance."
That definitely does resonate. Um, I don't think good things just happen right away. I think
Mm,
they have to be formed and molded. I think things take time. And, like everything in life, when you really want something, you have to work at it. And we live in a society that's so instant gratification. Everything got to be microwave ready. So when you
yep,
see someone putting in the work and you see things evolving and developing for them, it just makes the reward that much sweeter.
yeah,
Um, and so in every, space, emotionally, mentally, physically, when you put in that work, when you're like aspiring to be better, when you have a business that you're trying to grow and year one was okay, year two sucked, year three is better. It's all forming the personality and the characteristics of that thing. And so that definitely, yeah, that quote is dope.
yay! I'm happy it resonates. I didn't come up with it. So now we have rapid fire, and I'm gonna ask some questions, and we'll see what you say.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Um, so, what is already name a role model that you have?
My mother. My
Hmm,
mother's a role
nice.
model. Yeah.
One word to describe how you're feeling right now.
Calm.
Hmm,
Yeah, calm.
that's a good one. Favorite food?
Child. I'm a foodie, so you just like I feel I'm a big soup person. Give me soup all day, every day, all year round. I love soup. So soup.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a big soup person.
favorite book?
I love to read. You know what? I would say one of my favorites is Kindred by Octavia Butler.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
her, and that book just gives me chills. But yes, Kindred.
Favorite quote?
I don't have one.
No.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have one. Let go and let God.
That's a goodie. That's a goodie. It
Yeah,
counts. Um, something that you're proud of.
my kids.
Hmm,
Yeah, my kids.
that's a beauty. And any any final words for folks that are watching?
Um, Take care of yourselves. You know, um, We are doing the best that we can. You are doing the best that you can. Take care of yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
And where can people find you?
Where the money resides.
I was with you.
Uh, all jokes aside, you guys can find me on Instagram on Lady Rachy, and my business platform is Makeup by Lady Rach. But yeah, that's where I be.
That's where I be.
That's where I
I'm so
be.
grateful. I'm so grateful that you said yes, that you shared your time with us. Thank you so much for your information, for the education, for the knowledge, for your experiences, for your authenticity and your transparency, for your stories. I
Thank
am
you.
so grateful for you, sincerely, and the work that you're doing. And I'm so honored. That was my Alexa. And hold on, so say it again. I don't know if you can hear it or not. This is a reminder.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, but
Alexa want to get in with us.
always, you want to get into everything. Knows a little something. Thank you sincerely for simply being here. You add value, and people don't recognize it. It starts from where you are, and you're doing so much every
Thank,
single day. So
thank
I'm
you.
grateful to know you. I love you, and I appreciate you.
I love you too. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And for everybody watching, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of For the Culture. We'll see y'all again soon. Bye for
Bye.
now.